Welcome to the heritage-listed Woodlands Homestead, part of Woodlands Historic Park, right next door to Melbourne Airport. At first glance you see a California bungalow-style home, but there's so much more to this story. While the original homestead was an 1840s kit home, what you basically see today is the 1920s facelift. Once we're inside, we'll see some of the original features of the homestead and the rooms that have been preserved for you to enjoy.
Now in the hallway of the original homestead, one of only a few pre-constructed timber kit homes brought to Australia from Britain in the early 1800s. In its time it was considered to be between a grand homestead and an English country house. And if these walls could talk, they'd tell many stories of the prominent families who resided here since 1843. For Naval Officer William Greene and his family, who came from Ireland, this was their grand new home. Here's the original dining room, a snapshot of life of a well-to-do family in the 1840s, complete with original hand-painted walls and ceilings, and bay windows with a view across the old tennis court and the acres beyond. Over the next 50 years, Woodlands had a string of affluent owners, many of them leading figures in Victoria's history with strong links to horse racing. Canadian-born Ben Chaffey and his family took ownership from 1917 to 1937 and led the extensive renovation in the 1920s. This included adding a Jarrah floor, which was said to have been much better to dance on. The kit home had 3 bedrooms in total, including the vibrant pink decor for the lady of the manor.
I'm inside the gentleman's bedroom, and it's incredible to experience such a well-preserved space and just imagine how people lived back in the 19th century.
And the way the walls were hand-painted to appear as though they were marble pillars, fit for a gentleman. Today, these models help to picture Woodlands as it was before and after the 1920s, when the roofline was lifted and the verandas and dining room were extended. This big room at the rear of the homestead would have hosted many social occasions and celebrations, with views from the veranda across the Macedon Ranges. It's been a smoker's room, a billiard room and even a master bedroom during the Mitchell family era. The original bath and fixtures paint an intriguing picture of what has been a luxurious bathroom in its time. This larger dining room was added in the 1920s, and you can see the distinctive blackwood wall panelling and the fireplace the Chaffeys added at the time. Today this room is the Black Caviar Cafe, where we serve our famous Devonshire tea. And hanging proudly on the wall is a photo of Whittier, Ben Chaffey's 1922 Caulfield Cup winner. The bakehouse is the oldest room in the building and was constructed before the Greene family arrived. Next to it was the servants' quarters, dairy and farm kitchen, where visiting Cobb & Co coach passengers were served refreshments while the horses were changed over. From outside we see the more modern verandas the Chaffeys added, and you'll also notice how beautifully the buildings are presented and preserved, thanks to the Copland Foundation funding of extensive conservation work. But it's not just the homestead that tells a story. It was part of its own small community, surrounded by a network of outbuildings. You can also see some of the hallmarks of Ben Chaffey's irrigation system of dams and holding tanks, which was a major innovation in its day. The Greenes were largely self-sufficient. They baked bread, smoked meats and made their own butter and cheese. This is where the groom lived, beside the horse stalls and feed room, on call for the lord and lady of the manor when they wished to travel. The old Carriage House is now just foundations, after being demolished in the 1920s when motorcars came along and the garage was built. Woodlands Homestead sits on 1,700 acres of native parklands, with the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation the traditional owners of the land. One of the most significant thoroughbred properties in the Southern Hemisphere, its rich history has been intertwined with horse racing ever since the Greenes first arrived. And fittingly, it is now home to 27 retired champion thoroughbreds residing at Living Legends.